Hi, everybody. Oh, let me turn that on.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. If we can grab a seat and turn up the volume. Thank you. That's good. Grab your seats and refresh your coffee, and we're going to start in 1 minute. Yeah, probably. Not that much. I should bring this down.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to tell everyone right now that I'm a very nervous public speaker. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to begin. I'm going to do my best. So, Tonchi Kiamatan, Naomi Linklater, Dishnika Sean. Good morning. My name is Naomi Linklater, and I'm a Métis woman whose family originates from Moose Factory, Hudson Bay, although I was born in Vancouver. My parents, like many newcomers, came to Vancouver looking for employment opportunities and a safe place to raise a family. They arrived in the late 1950s, just after the potlatch ban was lifted and just before the totem poles were once again raised on Coast Salish territories throughout BC. My parents admired the Coast Salish people for preserving their heritage during a time when practicing Indigenous culture and spirituality and speaking Indigenous languages were illegal in Canada. While acknowledging territory is the appropriate thing to do at an event such as this, we need to remember that this is only an initial step towards repairing relationships with the Indigenous peoples of Canada. So on this day of June 20th, 2019, World Refugee Day, I respectfully acknowledge that this event is taking place on the unsurrendered territory of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh nations. And because World Refugee Day is the day before National Indigenous Peoples Day, I also want to acknowledge the Canadian government's acceptance of the result of the national inquiry into the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Acknowledging the genocide against Indigenous people is an important step that we must take in order to create a healthy and safe environment of mutual respect and equal opportunity for all peoples, whether refugee, newcomer, settler, or Indigenous. All my relations, miigwech.
I can't recall if Naomi also mentioned that she is a member of ISSofBC's Board of Directors. So thank you, Naomi. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a special welcome to those to the many people that are watching this event live streamed. I'd like to start by reading a statement that we received from the Prime Minister of Canada. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the announcement event hosted by ISSofBC, Van City Credit Union, and TELUS in honor of World Refugee Day. I firmly believe that Canada is strong because of our diversity, a diversity that relies on newcomers. Our country was built by people who hail from many cultures, religions, and ethnicities. It is these differences that unite us, not divide us. As we gather here today, I wish to highlight the countless contributions of refugees to our society. Let us enjoy this announcement event as we connect with one another. We are reminded that Canada is stronger, not in spite of our diversity, but because of it. Thank you to the organizers for your hard work in making this event possible. Please accept my warmest welcome and best wishes for a memorable event. Justin Trudeau. I'd like to now call on Jim Tallman, the president of our board, to make some introductory comments.
Thank you, Chris. And good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Directors of ISSofBC, I send greetings to everyone here and also to those online. As Chris mentioned, we think we're estimating approximately 200 people around the world, across Canada, who are watching online. And so, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. I'm also very pleased to welcome our honored guests, in particular the Honorable Jenny Kwan, MP for Vancouver East and opposition critic on immigration. And Jenny, if you could just raise, thank you. And also Jagrut Brar, MLA for Surrey Fleetwood and BC Government Caucus Chair. He's hiding behind the... And we have a couple of board members at least. I've seen Naomi and Joanna. If you could just raise your hands. Joanna there and Naomi, you're back there. And are there any others? Okay. They are on the board of directors of ISSofBC. Our CEO, Patricia Warwick, really wanted to be here today, but she has a conference in Ottawa that she had to attend. She already was registered to be at, so that is where she is. We are very pleased to host this immediate announcement event on World Refugee Day today, and deeply appreciate the spirit of partnership and collaboration that made the development of the incredible initiatives being announced today possible. Partnerships have been an essential element of our service delivery at ISSofBC since we started in 1972. In fact, it's an important guiding principle behind the construction of this unique facility that we're in right now, the ISSofBC Welcome Center, is our acknowledgement that we do not have all the expertise and experience to give newcomers we serve all the help they need to resettle successfully in their new home. So in addition to a broad array of settlement, language training, and employment services that ISSofBC has provided successfully for newcomers over the years, the ISSofBC Welcome Center works closely with and learns from the experience and knowledge of our co-located partners what they bring, and it's all to the ultimate benefit of our clients. That's both immigrants and refugees. So it's in this unique model of wraparound support services delivered by both ISSofBC and our partners that continues to draw the interest of visitors here and abroad. And those visitors include government officials. Let me just say first, we get many, many visitors here because the reputation and the knowledge and the awareness of what this facility offers is literally worldwide. And we have government officials, policymakers, international diplomats, community leaders, private sector executives, social planners, educators and students. And we opened 3 years ago, almost to the day, not quite, but basically 3 years ago. And we had 3 months after that, after we opened, we had a visit from royalty, namely the British, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, who came here and actually sat in this very room and had conversations with refugees from Syria and from, I believe it was Afghanistan. But the visitors who receive maximum attention at the center are our clients, including the newly arrived government-assisted refugees, for whom the center is their introduction to home and living in Canada. Since the center opened in June 2016, close to 2,400 refugees from 35 countries have called it home during their first weeks in Canada. And over 500 people a day walk through the center's doors to access a wide variety of the services that are offered in this building. These newcomers, in addition to those yet to arrive here, now stand to be touched by 2 impactful initiatives to be announced today by our private sector partners, TELUS and Van City. ISSofBC has been privileged to work with private businesses that have a strong sense of social responsibility. And Van City in particular has been a very strong and steady partner with us over the past 2 decades, supporting us in our mission to help immigrants build a future in Canada. And we now look forward to this new partnership with TELUS, confident that our shared values will fuel our collaborative work to make Canada a truly welcoming place for newcomers. So thank you again for attending today, and I'll turn it back over to Chris.
Thank you. The new UNHCR Global Trends Report was just released, and the global situation is dismal. In 2018, the number of people fleeing war, persecution, and conflict exceeded 70 million, the highest level the UNHCR has seen in almost 70 years. The number of refugees reached almost 26 million worldwide, 500,000 more than in 2017. I think what's not as known, but equally disturbing, is the fact that last year, every second refugee was a child. As an example, Uganda reported 2,800 refugee children aged 5 or below, alone or separated from their families. This is the unacceptable global context where we find ourselves this morning. I would now like to call on Honourable Jag Breyer, MLA for Surrey Fleetwood, to bring greetings from the Premier Oregon and the province of BC. Premier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words and double introduction by Jim and you. So thanks a lot for this. And first of all, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories of Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh people, and thank them for the ability to meet on their land. I'm very pleased to be here today on behalf of Premier John Horgan and also every member of the caucus, because I'm the caucus chair, this morning to join all of you. We are actually blessed to live in the most beautiful country and most beautiful province we call British Columbia, a country that built by the people who came before us on the fundamental values of democracy, human rights, and peace. and a country that truly believes in justice, equality, and fairness for all people. And those are the fundamental values we have in this country. When I was here, I spoke to one of the newly arrived refugee here. If I probably pronounced the right way, Pantel. Pantel? Yes. Is the right name. So I spoke to her just to understand her story. I am not going to mention the name of the country she is from. I'm not going to mention the country where she has to stay for 6 years. She has to leave her own country and then live in a neighboring country for 6 long years, where basically their life was basically live in a very kind of constrained circumstances, and they have no access to education or any other, things which we normally, which we think as granted in this country. So that's just a story of one person and her family, and she has to leave her family behind, and part of the family is with her. And I asked her, how does she feel? And she said, I'm nervous. So I just want to say I know there are a lot of people, a lot of families here today who are newly arrived. I just want to say to you is this, that I came to this country not as a refugee, but I came to this country as an immigrant. And the starting of the life is always feel like that. That you think, maybe everybody else will succeed, I will not. And I don't know how to start and where I will start, but this is a great country. And it is endless opportunities. This not only opens doors to people, it actually embraces people as equal and give them the opportunity to grow. So all of you, I said I came here as an immigrant, and I was elected member of the Legislative Assembly 6 years after arriving to this country. But I can tell you this thing, the first few months I also thought that I probably will not be able to do anything here, but that was wrong. So you should be at comfort that the life is beautiful in front of you, and it will be a great life. On this very special day, the World Refugee Day, keeping in mind what Chantal said to me, that we honor the strength and courage of millions of women, men and children around the world fleeing conflict, insecurity and persecution, and their fight against it. And in BC, as I said earlier, welcoming refugee is a part of our proud history and part of who we are as a community today. Canada and British Columbia have been enriched by refugees for hundreds of years. Refugees have served us as community leaders, activists, public servants, even as Governor General. And they've also become renowned authors, business leaders, successful entrepreneurs, artists, and innovators. And I must say that our province and our country is a better place because of the exceptional contribution refugees have made to this country and to this province. So it's time for us for compassion and understanding, not cruelty and hatred. We extend our gratitude to the people and community throughout the province and the country who help welcome refugees every day. Our government will always stand strong for the values of diversity, inclusion, and mutual respect, and protect those in need. Together, we will keep working to make life better for every person in our community and in every community. Today and every day, we stand together in support of refugees in British Columbia and around the world. In the end, I just want to say, thank you to ISS Welcome Center, because this is the place I know. I was told by Jim that I think 6 families arrived a few days ago, some family,
Eight,
eight
around
family.
24 hours.
Few days though, so they gave them initial time to stay and then of course move on with their life, provide, counseling for the next step and all that. So this center and their, of course, partners for their exceptional work when people come from outside, when they see there's no path forward, but they tell you exactly what to do to succeed. So I want to say thank you to ISS and of course the other organization helping with you. So in the end, I just want to say welcome. Welcome to the new family, to the best place on the earth. It is the best place on the earth and you will have a great future in front of you. There will be a lot of support given to you and any dream is a dream that's achievable in this country. So thank you very much to all of you.
Okay, just stay up here.
So, as was just mentioned, we actually have 8 government-assisted refugee families that arrived in the last 24 hours. And 6 of them are here. A couple of them are sleeping, understandably. So, we wanted, on behalf of the province of BC, issue each of them a Welcome to BC certificate. And we're going to do that right now. So I shall get the certificates here. And these certificates say British Columbia is proud to be one of the most culturally diverse provinces in Canada. Our history has been shaped by the people who have come together to build this province, and our communities are enriched every day by sharing our cultural traditions. Welcome again to BC. I wish you all the best as you settle into your new home. Honorable John Horgan, Premier of British Columbia, June 20th, 2019. So, the first one, Bashir Noor family.
Welcome. It's a nice name. My daughter's name is also Noor. Welcome to Canada. To BC.
Yeah, she understands it.
Hello, how are you?
So the wow.
They arrived about 5 o'clock last night. So we have families from Iran, Somalia, Lebanon, Congo, and Syria. The next one, Imadi family. Imadi. Yeah, welcome.
Hello. Welcome.
Thanks for everything.
Mateen Karami.
Young man, good to adopt you. Congratulations.
Mokarami family.
That's you.
After you're speaking.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Munyalolo family. And lastly, the Rajabi family. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. So this is repeated every day in this building. Tomorrow we welcome 19 individuals from Somalia, and the day after, and so forth. So it is a part of a new beginning. So all of us here in person and watching online want to wish these families and future Canadians every success as they embark on their new lives in this province. Today's announcement by Van City is the accumulation of decades of work in deepening and evolving partnership that has redefined value-based banking for newcomers to Canada and inspired other financial institutions to look beyond the bricks and mortar of traditional banking. When we approached Van City to co-locate with us in this new facility, there was no business plan to draw upon, no ability to project return investments. But nevertheless, Van City leaned in with us, and together we have exceeded our wildest expectations and projections. Together, over 10,000 refugees have been introduced to banking in Canada, some having absolutely no previous experience. Van City has supported refugee newcomers with financial literacy training, micro-business loans, and the opening of their first bank account in Canada. And these families who you just were introduced to will be opening a Van City account next week. Working under such a supportive environment means that refugee newcomers have a better overall understanding of banking in Canada, something many of us simply take for granted. I'd like to welcome Jan O'Brien, Board Chair of Van City, to come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered in the unceded Salish territory represented today by the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. They've been custodians of this land for thousands of years, and I'd like to pay my respects both to elders past and present. My thanks to everyone for joining us this morning. I've just begun my second run as chair of Van City's Board of Directors. It's very exciting to launch my term by celebrating our ever-strengthening relationship with the Immigrant Services Society of BC. Since 1972, ISSofBC has been vital to the building of healthy, vibrant communities. I can't overstate the diligence and compassion of the employees and volunteers who create an impact in newcomers' lives here and in settlement agencies across the province. This organization alone provides settlement, education, and employment services for more than 20,000 clients every year. For a couple of decades now, Van City staff members have been proud to work with ISSofBC to act as a vital lifeline in the settlement of refugees and immigrants. Thanks to the generosity of our members, we were able to launch a humanitarian fund that has distributed more than $216,000 over the last 4 years. We also helped foreign-trained professionals update their skills for this marketplace. For more than 2 decades, we have offered microcredit loans for newcomers. We've provided capital support to help construct the building you're standing in now. We've also just set up offices in ISSofBC's new Welcome Centre in Surrey. Through our work at the Welcome Centres and in our 59 branches across BC, we have the privilege of getting to know a diverse, accomplished, and thoughtful population of newcomers. And in February, we hosted an international conference of the Global Alliance for Banking on Values and explored how financial institutions can help address challenges related to migration here at home and across the globe. In life and business, relationships grow and change. So it gives me great pleasure today to tell you that Van City is entering into a new phase of our long relationship with ISSofBC. I'm proud to announce that Van City will support 5 refugee families over the next 5 years. As part of our new privately sponsored refugee program, we will fund the settlement costs for a refugee family for a full year to help them get their start in Canada. Every year, a new family will be identified and supported in each of the next 4 years. This requires long-term dedication. Given Vancity's long partnership with ISSofBC, it's a natural step forward. Our friends at ISSofBC tell us that a refugee family's first year is always particularly challenging. Learning a new language and adapting to a new culture can be arduous, confusing, and isolating. Newcomers need to find secure housing, get their health in order, and equip their homes to provide as much comfort as possible. They may need language training and may need help to get their children to adapt to a new school and social environment. They need advice. Now imagine trying to do all this among strangers without the stability that family can provide. ISSofBC, through its Welcome Center, has on-site temporary housing and medical care, making it a great landing place for these arriving refugees. Sponsorships like ours help break isolation among refugees by allowing families to reunite in Metro Vancouver. This is a linchpin of the private sponsorship program and one of the many strengths that we found to be appealing. Yes, we will continue to offer our expertise and financial literacy training to help families navigate their new lives in Canada. But this is just part of the welcome that Vancity will offer. We will also enroll 10 of our employees in a mentorship program through ISSofBC to help each new refugee family integrate into the fabric of their community. These mentors will offer friendship and assistance to the arriving families as they explore their new community. They'll assist with learning English. They may help them explore new horizons for their career, meet employers, and perhaps we'll find our own employment opportunities through these new relationships. For our employees, the adventure ahead will be rewarding. We know the newcomers to our market are disciplined. We know that they are driven to succeed in their new communities. We also know that private sponsorship is by no means the only answer to the humanitarian crisis facing Canada and the world. We are taking on a role that is just one part of a complex system of support for vulnerable refugees. While the federal government stands by its commitment to welcome and support Canada's most vulnerable newcomers, private sponsorship is a complement and by no means a replacement of Canada's vow to uphold its true values as a humanitarian nation. That is something I can't stress enough. We know that other organizations have the capacity to support similar sponsorships, and we call on them to do so. Vancity is one of many organizations with diverse employees, with work cultures that encourage inclusion, social equality, and advocacy beyond the office walls. So we challenge our counterparts across BC and indeed across Canada to embrace private refugee sponsorship with your local counterpart to ISSofBC or faith-based refugee sponsor by providing not only financial support, but also by coming alongside to offer community and belonging. There are many excellent settlement agencies and faith-based organizations from coast to coast to coast with whom you can engage. I give my guarantee to other businesses, big and small, that the rewards of a partnership with ISSofBC are great and will be for you and your settlement agency partner. Thank you again to our friends of the ISSofBC and to Vancity staff at this Welcome Center. And thank you all in advance as we do our best to fulfill our vision of our values, to support newcomers as they grow into thriving and productive members of a healthy, welcoming community. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That is absolutely fantastic. And we really appreciate the call to action to corporate Canada. because just as we are developing this relationship with Van City, we believe that corporate Canada can play a more significant role than it currently is around addressing aspects of the world refugee crisis. Last year, TELUS CEO Darren Entwistle sent a letter to shareholders and investors. As part of his AGM report, in his letter, he wrote about the notion of social capitalism. Companies, I quote, companies that embrace social capitalism do so by using their core business to serve a greater social purpose that benefits all of their stakeholders, from shareholders and customers to our most vulnerable citizens. Social capitalism is not supplementary to their strategy, but rather the central thesis of what they do, why they do it, and what they stand for as a culture. The value they create for their stakeholders is a direct result of their collective focus on putting communities first in their hearts, minds, and action. When ISS began exploring a partnership with TELUS, we quickly realized that we shared many similar values. The notion that both of us have significant role to play in nation building, and that as we passionately believe in building more welcoming and inclusive communities, that we could and can do more to ensure newcomers have the best possible start in this country and are able to reach their full potential to contribute the diverse skills they have brought to their new home. We need more private sector companies in this country to follow TELUS's lead in placing equal value on social impact and articulating that impact in similar light to shareholder value growth and return on investments. We are engaged together on numerous fronts, and along the way, we are increasingly realizing the value of partnership between immigrant-serving agencies such as ours and Canada's largest telecommunication company. I believe there are several students from our Language Instruction for Newcomers to Canada class gathered here. I think there's a few of them. Is there? Yeah. I want to recognize representatives of these students as they and almost 700 other students shared with TELUS and ISSofBC their communication journey as newcomers to this country. This enormously rich information so graciously shared with us has helped TELUS to better understand the needs of newcomers and the subsequent announcement you're about to hear. Please welcome Jill Schnarr, Vice President, Corporate Citizenship and Communication for TELUS.
Wow, thank you so much, Chris. It's amazing to be here in your incredible facility. Thank you for all the incredible work that you do. I would also like to welcome the newest Canadians in the room. You have come to a wonderful country, and I hope your lives here are everything you dreamed for and more. Also, thank you to Jan O'Brien for the work that Van City has done to make newcomers feel welcome in the country. And as a result, I am proud to announce that TELUS is inspired to be the first organization to rise to the challenge, and we are committing to funding the settlement costs for a refugee family for 1 year. As Chris said, TELUS's commitment to social capitalism has led us to today, where we are proud to announce our partnership with the Immigration Services Society of BC and help welcome new Canadians by making it easier to access the services, programs, and resources they need to succeed. This year, more than 9,000 government-assisted refugees will come to Canada. And while many will have to spend time learning a new language, they face additional challenges such as significant financial constraints, lagging digital literacy, low confidence in the healthcare system, and inadequate access to technology. So at TELUS, we believe that technology and connectivity can enable remarkable human outcomes. We know that technology is a great equalizer, and that unequal access to technology exacerbates the unacceptable economic and social barriers facing so many people. In fact, TELUS has launched a suite of products which are enabling Canadians to bridge digital and socio-economic divides and helping vulnerable citizens thrive in our digital society through enhanced connectivity. TELUS's Connecting for Good portfolio is working to help every person in Canada succeed in our all-connected world and reach their full potential. TELUS Internet for Good offers more than 110,000 low-income households across Canada access to low-cost, high-speed internet for only $10 per month from TELUS. TELUS Mobility for Good is a groundbreaking program launched in BC and funded in partnership with the government of BC. It provides young people who are transitioning from foster care into independence with a free smartphone and data plan for 2 years. So today we are very excited to be able to expand these two programs in honor of World Refugee Day with a very special Connecting for Good Welcome to Canada bundle from TELUS. This new bundle will help remove the financial burden of staying connected to loved ones and the challenge of accessing critical online tools and resources. Government-assisted refugees will now have access to both high-speed internet and Wi-Fi at home and a mobile voice and data plan with a free smartphone for only $30 per month. This is normally a retail value of $150 per month. Thanks to the insights and suggestions of more than 1,000 students, like the ones who are here today, we will also provide a Welcome to Canada resource kit for all newcomers. Recognizing the unique needs and challenges of newcomers, we are stationing our TELUS team members directly into the ISSofBC locations and removing any barriers that these families have to get the services that will keep them connected. We will continue to find innovative ways, such as our partnership with the ISSofBC, to support the most vulnerable in our communities so that everyone can have access to the same high-speed technology in order to reach their full potential. Thank you so much.
We began talking to TELUS, only a few months ago, and it's been incredible because of that shared values, how quickly things can move. So we're absolutely thrilled with your announcement, and also exceptionally thrilled of your response to Van City's call to action that you'll be supporting one family for a year. So thank you very, very much. With the rise of nationalism and alt-right movements gathering speed in some parts of the world, it is the stranger, the foreigner, the refugee that must bear the brunt of these changing attitudes. The public perception of refugees perpetrated by some provincial jurisdictions and some political parties, reinforced by some media outlets, forget that, as an example, those refugee claimants that may walk across the U.S. border into Canada through irregular means reflect movements that have existed since the white settlers entered these lands. Canada does have a robust system that ensures a fair asylum hearing and mechanism in place to ensure Canadians are safe. Not one terrorist attack in this country has arisen from a refugee newcomer. Although we have housing challenges, refugees cannot carry the burden for the lack of affordable housing in this country. 40 to 50,000 refugee claimants within a population of almost 38 million is fairly insignificant. Under international obligations of which Canada is a signatory, refugees would benefit, and the public demands a more expeditious asylum review system that is shorter than the current 2-year system, with a current backlog of over 75,000 individuals. We in the settlement and integration industry are once again bracing ourselves for the upcoming federal election and the usual rise in anti-immigrant sentiments. This is extremely unfortunate and something we must all get involved and proactively engage. I would like to introduce our next two guests to put a human face to the global refugee crisis. I would first like to introduce Munifa Ahmad, who is a former refugee claimant who sought asylum in this country and was granted the right to permanent residency. She is an aspiring social entrepreneur who created the SmartMeat app, which she'll tell you about. Munifa loves to call herself a spiritual climate advocate. After seeking asylum in Canada, she successfully pivoted her career into the tech sector and landed a job as digital analyst and marketeer in a startup analytics agency. Now, though, her SmartMeat app is at the center of her passion, work, and growth, where she is exploring technological solutions that increase the public awareness of how individual action can impact the climate and the environment. Please welcome Munifa.
Hello, hi. Hi everyone, I have a fever, so this is not my true voice. Hi, my name is Munifa, and I solely migrated to Canada in 2017 as a refugee. And I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, and originally I'm Ethiopian. Thanks to Canada, currently I'm working as digital analyst and marketer, and pursuing my passion through advocacy for climate, refugee, women leadership for connecting communities. But it wasn't easy to get here and be able to speak at this stage. I started over in Toronto and spent more than 6 months living in a shelter. I was looking for a job, a place to live at, and opportunities to continue my education. I actually started high school a couple of times and had to drop out. I didn't know how to navigate the system or build a network or find the resources that I specifically need. Although it was fairly challenging to make it here, I am saying this with a full heart of gratitude that I'm lucky to be a woman living in Canada, lucky to be a refugee to Canada. So now, how can I move from just being a refugee to what I want to be? Moving to BC a year ago gave me the opportunity to explore and find my passion for nature and learn tech skills such as coding and digital marketing. Starting my climate discovery 8 months ago, I noticed that the conversation about climate is overwhelmingly overwhelming to speak about. But the biggest takeaway from the workshop that I have attended is to speak about it. For a regular person working 9 to 5, what is there for me to do to see a difference? Becoming zero waste to life, or plastic free, or cutting my meat, or even biking to work is just simply too much. When are we going to design solutions that are customer-centric and be more inclusive and rewarding in our communication? How possibly can we make reducing carbon a fun thing and more engaging? From government great initiative to non-profit organization active work to activists and advocates speaking about climate, most of them are being paid or rewarded somehow, including myself. I know I am the problem, then what else can you say? Is there even a script for me to speak about climate with a friend? There is a script for everything. There is a script for customer service. There is a script for networking. For God's sake, there is even a script for flirting. The question is, what is next? What can we do to engage the broader community in the climate conversation and actually take an action to reduce our personal carbon footprint? That is what SmartMeat app is trying to answer. A web application that combat further climate change by helping us easily to manage our meat product intake. And that is a starting point to tackle a climate challenge. This is a small contribution to help Mother Earth. I can see a day when people will come together to build a collective of conscious community, a community that wants to make a difference and take action to live sustainably. I will finally quote Jonathan here, a climate advocate. Instead of waiting for some new political climate hero or some miraculous climate policy to arrive and single-handedly solve the whole problem, let's see what the rest of us can do right now. In fact, I think the climate heroes we are looking for are all already here. Just look in the mirror. All of this is new to me. If this resonates with you, let's connect and see where opportunities can show up. To learn more about SmartMeat app and join the community, you can find us and subscribe at www.munifaahmad.io. Thank you so much.
Wow. How long have you been in Canada?
2 years.
2 years, less than 2 years, and we've got an environmental activist who came as a refugee claimant. Extraordinary. Extraordinary. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you. Our next speaker is Danny Ramadan. Danny arrived to Canada in 2014 as a gay refugee with the help of Rainbow Refugee. Since then, he's worked tirelessly on supporting LGBTQ+ refugees from Syria to come to Canada through the sponsorship program of Rainbow Refugee. Through his leadership and initiative, Danny created an evening in Damascus, which has raised over $100,000 in the past 5 years. He's also helped 28 refugees find sponsorship groups across Canada. Danny's also an accomplished writer, having released his award-winning novel, The Clothesline Swing. So, if any of you are in a book club, I would highly recommend it. Danny is currently a UBC Masters of Fine Arts student in creative writing. Danny, welcome.
So I actually bank with Fan City and my phone is with TELUS, so thank you so much. Apparently I support people who support me, so thank you so much, folks. I really appreciate what they do. Yes. My name is Ahmad Danny Ramadan, but I go with Danny because that's easier for most people here in Canada. It's a name that I got when I was 18 because somebody thought that I looked like John Travolta in Greece, which I don't think it's true, but the name stayed. I came out of the closet when I was 17, back in Syria to my family, and my sister was 10 years old at the time. I left my family's home, and I haven't seen my sister ever since. And I went through multiple experiences. I left Syria to Egypt. I published 2 books in Egypt. I worked in journalism. And then I found my way back to Syria. In Damascus, between 2010 and 2012, I created an underground LGBTQ center that supported gay and lesbian folks in Damascus through counseling, through sharing circles, and through movie nights. We actually watched The Birdcage like 28 times or something. So I know the movie by heart and not by choice. I then ended up being arrested for the work that I did back in Damascus. I spent 6 weeks in prison in Syria, and then I was released, and I was told that if I stayed in Damascus, I'll be arrested again. So I ended up being a refugee in Lebanon. And that's really important to the story because refugees do not make the decision lightly to leave their country of origin. Refugees do not just find themselves waking up one morning and you're like, you know what I want to do today? I want to be a refugee. Nobody does that. There are reasons that push you out of your country of origin, be it civil wars, be it homophobia, be it transphobia, or be it sectarianism, where people are pushed out based on their religious beliefs. Through the support of Rainbow Refugee, I ended up arriving here in 2014, in September 2014. And usually a lot of people that I talk to think that this arrival at the airport is the end of a beautiful story. Where you arrive at the airport and people are hugging you and there are balloons and people are waving rainbow flags and Canadian flags and somebody makes out with you for no apparent reason because it seems like it's the end of a movie and the credits are going to roll down, which can't be further from the truth. ISSofBC provides support and services that are crucial to new arrivals, to refugees who just arrived, be it housing, which is one of the very main bases that somebody needs to establish themselves in a new country, be it advising and counseling, whether for mental health support or through their career. As well as ISSofBC creates a place like a community for those folks to come together and feel that they are part of one community, just like Canada is a big community of multiple different parts on unceded territories. Actually, my next book, I have a children's book coming out in 2020 called Salma the Syrian Chef, and the story of the book is set at the Welcome Center right here. So you will see a drawing of the Welcome Center in that book. I'll send you a copy, it will be fun. Yeah. So I mentioned my sister earlier in the story. When I left Damascus where my sister and I, she was 10, she didn't understand what homosexuality or homophobia is. And she grew up in a community that is conservative, that is religious, and rejects homosexuality on the basis of just it exists. Over the past 2 years, my sister and I, through social media on Facebook, we started to connect again. She is married now. She has a beautiful daughter. Her name is Tala. And we started to get to know each other more and more. We started to feel that we are connected as one family again. And actually, I'm really so honored to announce that with the work of ISSofBC and the sponsorship by Van City, my sister's family will be the first family coming here to Canada through this partnership. It is so meaningful to me that when I am working with this community, when I do my very best to support this community, to show my talents, to build fundraising events and raise money for LGBTQ identifying refugees, to write beautiful books and release them and get awarded for those awards, it feels so truthful that when you put the hard work in this country, dreams do come true. So thank you so much to Van City, to TELUS, and to ISSofBC. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny. So this concludes our event today. And for those here in Vancouver, don't forget to check out the many activities taking place throughout the day and evening at the main branch of the Vancouver Public Library. Also, for those of you who are here in our building, don't forget to pick up a copy of our recently released poster on your way out. And I'm just going to put a plug in for it. We released this poster just in the last week. And if you wish, each of you can take a copy of this and prominently display it in your office, home. We welcome all races, all religions, all communities of origin, all sexual orientations, all gender identities, and all abilities. So thank you. So whether you've gathered with us in person or watched online, I hope that you leave today with greater insight on the global refugee crisis, but also on the human dimension. Life can be precarious. One moment, your entire life can be turned upside down through no fault of your own. We have witnessed firsthand, but also throughout history of this province, the enormous contributions refugees have and are making if they are given the opportunity to rebuild their lives here with support and a warm welcome. I also want you to leave feeling inspired, inspired by how, as individuals or representatives from corporate Canada, that we can make a difference to build a more welcoming, inclusive, and compassionate society. Thank you.